it from that car?
This is the chilling moment a gunman dressed all in black killed a woman and shot 13 other people, including a 9-year-old girl, in a mass shooting in Toronto shortly before 10:20 p.m. last night.
Was it from that car?
Police said the 9-year-old was taken to a pediatric trauma center and is currently in a critical condition.
Other than the shooter, we have a young lady that is deceased right now, and we have a young girl, I believe 8 or 9 years old, that is in critical state at this point in time.
The gunman sprayed 20 bullets into a busy restaurant in the Greektown area of Danforth and was later killed after a shootout with cops.
I thought it was fireworks at first, because it was a rapid fire, and then there'd be a pause and some more fire. We didn't know what it was. We saw people starting to run in our direction, and I still didn't know what it was, and then more people were running, and so we started running, and we ran down a side street.
Was it from that car?
Our entire city has been shocked by this cowardly act of violence. As I said earlier this morning at the scene, I'm of course angry, as we all are, that someone would carry out such an attack, which really amounts to an attack on our city itself. Gun violence in any part of our city is horrible and completely unacceptable. As the shots rang out last night, our police officers, our firefighters and paramedics rushed to the scene. And just as we saw earlier this year, we are all once again immensely proud and grateful for the courage and for the professionalism that they showed. And I want to express our collective gratitude to all first responders who came as quickly as possible to help people in the wake of this horrific incident. I'm continuing to get updates from Police Chief Mark Saunders about the ongoing investigation. I could see for myself at the scene, where I was joined by Councillors Fragadakis and Fletcher, that every possible effort was being made by our very capable police service so as to determine as quickly as possible what happened and why. I have total confidence in the ability of our police under the Chief's leadership to determine what did in fact happen here. I want to publicly thank as well Premier Doug Ford and Federal Minister Bill Blair, who were both immediately in touch to offer condolences as well as to offer any assistance that Toronto might require. In times of such horror, it is good to know that Toronto is not alone, and Toronto will never be alone, and most important of all, that the people of Toronto will never be alone. While our city will always be resilient in the face of such attacks, it does not mean such a terrible act committed against our residents is any less painful. This is an attack against innocent families and against our entire city. This is a tragedy, another tragedy in our city this year. I promise all of the people of Toronto, but most importantly those directly affected by this tragedy, that we will all be relentless in getting answers about why this senseless attack happened. I've said for some time that the city has a gun problem, in that guns are far too readily available to far too many people. It is something I spoke about very directly at a federal government conference held late last year on acts of violence. As I've said repeatedly, this is an international problem and this is a domestic problem. There are far too many people carrying around guns in our city and our region who should not have them. You've heard me ask the question of why anybody would need to buy 10 or 20 guns, which they can lawfully do under the present laws. And that leads to another question we need to discuss. Why does anyone in this city need to have a gun at all? And I know even answering that question won't fully eliminate tragedies like this, but even if we can prevent one of these incidents, then in my view it is a discussion worth having, and having very soon. To that end, I'll be reaching out to both of the federal and provincial governments, as they have reached out to us, to urge them to sit down with us at as early a date as possible to discuss a range of public safety issues, including guns and the legality of guns in various different contexts. I think it is fitting for us to revisit this issue, yes, to protect our city, but also out of respect for those who have lost their lives and had their lives dramatically disrupted by this senseless violence. In the meantime, I will work with you and with everybody else, all of the other governments, our police service and the community, to do whatever we can to comfort and to heal our city and to assist the police in getting the answers we all need arising out of this senseless act.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for your attendance. So with me is Detective Sergeant Terry Brown from the Homicide Squad, as well as Bonnie Levine, who runs the Victim Services. Last night at about 10 p.m., the Toronto Police responded to the area of Danforth and Logan with regards to a shooting incident. As a result, as you know, 2 people have succumbed to the injuries. One is an 18-year-old female and another is a 10-year-old girl. At this point in time, we will not be releasing the names. However, later on, we definitely will be. 13 other victims ranging in the age from 10 to 59 years old are being treated in the hospital. Their injuries range from minor to serious in nature, and I can tell you that all family members of those other victims have been notified. The person responsible for this has died, and the Special Investigative Unit will be able to provide information concerning that. I will not be touching on that in any way, shape, or form. So first, on behalf of the Toronto Police Service, I'd like to offer my condolences to the family, friends, and loved ones that have been affected by this incident. I'd also like to thank the members of the Toronto Police Service for the great work that they did, along as working in partnership with our Toronto Fire Services, as well as our Toronto Paramedic Services, for a very outstanding job right from the moment that this started to right now, as we continue to do this investigation. Secondly, at the stage of this investigation, we do not know why this has happened yet. The investigation itself is very fluid. It is very new. It's going to take some time. And because of that, I'm certainly not going to invite any type of speculation. I'm not in the comfort zone of doing that. So I'm asking for your support and patience at this time. I can tell you that as we have things unfold, we will definitely provide you with whatever we can at that moment. And lastly, and most importantly, which is what I said last night, and I'll reiterate it, going forward, you can help us by calling us with any information that you may have. Understanding its geographical location, there will be a multitude of people that were present that have information. For whatever reason, if they're not disclosing it, we're asking, please give that information to us. We can never have enough. We've opened a portal on our website. If you look behind, it's torontopolice.on.ca/Danforth shooting, or you can just write tps.on.ca/Danforth shooting, and it will come to us.